Most Americans don't realize that there are 1.5 million people that live in this little place called Gaza, 25 miles long, 5 miles wide, one of the most densely populated places in the world. And that little place called Gaza is really a prison called Gaza, because people have not been able to move in and out freely in Gaza for well over 3.5 years. The Israeli, Egyptian, American, European Union quarantine, blockade, siege has meant that people can't travel and that goods cannot come in freely. The quarantine means that the people of Gaza have had to find different ways to bring in food and merchandise, and they've dug tunnels under the Egyptian border, tunnels that go down 70 feet on the Gaza side under the Egyptian border, from anywhere from 500 to 1,000 feet, and then up into Egypt, where Egyptian merchants come and bring goods that are ordered by cellular telephone. Everybody's getting paid off on this. The Egyptian government gets paid off for letting this system continue. Israeli people get paid off for it because the Israelis can bomb, could have torn up the whole system. And in fact, they do bomb every day somewhere along the tunnel line. The middlemen in Egypt, the middlemen in Gaza, the ultimate seller in Gaza, by the time the food, the merchandise gets to the people of Gaza, it is top dollar that they're paying for just materials to survive with. I had been on the Mavi Marmara for 48 hours prior to the attack, but had left the ship 12 hours before the attack at the request of 3 German parliamentarians who were on a smaller ship called the Challenger 1. They wanted to go on to the larger ship because there were other parliamentarians from other countries of the world that were there. So I and 2 Australian journalists said we would move from the big ship down to the smaller ship. Our smaller ship was about 150 yards off the stern of the Mavi Marmara when the Israeli commandos came up and attempted to board it. The boarding process started with the commandos, the masked commandos. All of them wore black masks. You couldn't tell their facial features. They didn't wear name tags. They didn't wear ranks. They started firing percussion grenades, these grenades that make a huge noise that will bust through windows, and then all of a sudden smoke is everywhere. Your eardrums are busted out. You can't hear. You're disoriented. The Israeli commandos were firing those grenades on all levels of the Marmara. We could see that from our ship. The captain of our ship talked to the captain of the Marmara, and they decided that our little tiny faster boat should speed away, try to get away from there, and maybe draw some of the commandos with us. So we started moving very, very quickly, and 15 minutes later came to a halt when a large naval vessel, Israeli naval vessel, came in front of us, and our captain pulled off the power and we stopped, and were immediately boarded by those commandos who used the same tactics of firing percussion grenades into the vessel to disorient everyone, blowing out window glass, door glasses. We had chosen peaceful nonviolent resistance of putting people along the railing of the stern of the ship to be there to say to those commandos, this is international waters. You are violating international law by coming on board our ship. We do not invite you on board. You stay on your own ship. That didn't work. The commandos were on board within a moment, pushing. Well, we had put women out on the stern because we knew if the guys were out there, there'd be instant confrontation. So we put women out there who were very good at yelling at these guys, don't you come on board this boat, stay on your own boat. But they were thrown to the ground in the broken glass that was there. One woman was shot in the face with a paint gun. You know, the Israelis were very proud, oh, we were using nonviolent methods, you know, just we're using paint bullets. Well, when you get shot in the face with a paint bullet that could have gone 1 inch more off the nose into an eye, as a military officer, I can't believe that they were having people shoot at people's faces, even with that. Well, I would say that what the blockade is doing is actually a very dangerous, it's endangering the national security of Israel, not making it better. That indeed when you cramp up, when you put together in a pressure cooker 1.5 million people, I mean, there's going to be explosions in that. And those explosions, one could say, are those little homemade rockets that are coming out. Fortunately, they generally don't hit anything. But how would you prevent, I would suggest that for the Israelis, a better way to protect their national security is actually put some release into that pressure cooker to try to take off some of the constraints that mean that 13, 14, 15, 16, 17-year-old kids in Gaza who now say, I have no future. There's nothing I can do. There are no jobs. Even if I get through high school, if I get an international scholarship, the Israelis won't let me leave to take advantage of it. So I think I would suggest to the Israelis that letting people live like human beings instead of being cramped up animals in a tiny little prison, a zoo, an incubator of well, I've been to Gaza 3 times in the year 2009, and I was really impressed with the people of Gaza, who most of them say, we don't hate the Israeli people, we don't hate Jewish people, we don't like the policies of Israel toward us, but what we want is peace. What we want, and they don't want their own government or other militant groups to fire those rockets into Israel, because they know what the reaction from the largest, most powerful military in the region is. I mean, when the Israelis go after the people of Gaza, it's like shooting fish in a barrel. I mean, as a military person, I'm not impressed at all with the prowess of the Israeli military. That doesn't, what they're doing there is just killing people gratuitously. There's no defense to what the Israelis are doing.
As a result of this encounter with Israeli Defense Forces, some of the blockade was eased.
Mm-hmm.
How much better is the situation now, and what do you want to achieve from now on?
Mm-hmm. Well, because of citizen activist pressure through that flotilla, and the tragic end of it, of the deaths of those 9 people and the injuries of 50, the world was watching what was going on, and people around the world were protesting at their own government, at the Israeli government, and it forced a change. I mean, not too often can you see that the citizens really do affect a change, but we did. The Israeli government has said that they will allow more types of materials and food into Gaza, although that's still, the proof is in the action, not just the words, and that the stream of materials coming into Gaza has not increased yet. So we're watching very carefully to see if the Israeli government is going to follow through on what they said they would. The right of travel, that's the next step on it. The Israelis have been very clear that they're not changing one thing about people. People are still stuck there. So the next step for us, and the focus of this next flotilla, is going to be changing that policy to take in Palestinians who are unable to have been unable to go in and visit their family for years and years and years. On board our ship was a young man, well, not too young. I mean, he was in his early 40s. He had not seen his mother and father in 18 years. His family, his Palestinian family, had been split apart for 18 years. His mother had been in the hospital, very sick. He finally got the right travel documents to be able to leave England to travel to Gaza. He signed on to the Gaza flotilla to try to get in there. 1 hour after we left Crete in Greece, heading for the meeting point to go on to Gaza, he got a text message saying that his mother had just died in the hospital. And that's the story of so many Palestinian families. They have not seen each other in years and decades. And students who finally get through high school, who finally get a scholarship to go somewhere, and then they can't, the Israelis won't let them go out. This is what we're going to focus on next, that the Palestinians must be treated like human beings, that they must be shown respect. And with that, I can say to the Israelis that you will have, your security is better guaranteed when you start treating people like human beings rather than treating them like animals.